very good evening to you and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News on TV1, coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. My name is Krishan Devasagayam.
And I'm Vyara Veerakum. Before we have a look at your news in detail, let's have a look at your headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst.
Heavy rainfall accompanied by strong winds expected to continue. Attanagaluoya reaches risk level. Health authorities identify a parasite capable of transmitting filariasis to both humans and animals.
ඒක සත්තුන් හරහා එන්න පුළුවන් සත්තුන්ගෙන් ඇතුලේ මේ විෂ බීජ තියෙන්න පුළුවන් එකක් හින්දා පාලනය ටිකක් අපහසුයි.
Foreign reserves increased to $6,873 million. Discussions continue today on the proposed head and body swap opposition leadership reshuffle. Two suspects, including the owner of the pickup truck involved in the incident that killed 6 people waiting at a Dansal queue in Meegoda, remanded. The air leak at the International Space Station has been brought under control and returned to normal conditions.
On to your top story tonight. Health authorities are issuing warnings regarding a parasite capable of transmitting filariasis to both humans and animals.
Dr. Prasanga Sirasa, who is the director of the anti-filariasis campaign of the Ministry of Health, stated that 7 patients infected with filariasis through this parasite, known as Brugia malai, have been reported over the past 5 months. He further warned that if not properly controlled, there is a risk of the disease spreading across the island.
68 filariasis patients were reported last year. The anti-filariasis campaign stated that among them 34 were workers who had arrived in the country from India. 7 filariasis patients have been identified so far this year. All of them are patients who contracted filariasis through the parasite known as Brugia malai. What are the parasite species that cause filariasis? Filariasis is caused by 2 species of parasites. Brugia malai and Wuchereria bancrofti are those 2 parasite species. Although the most commonly seen parasite species in our country was Wuchereria bancrofti, the species known as Brugia malai also holds a significant place in the history of filariasis in Sri Lanka. There were 2 types of filariasis in Sri Lanka: urban filariasis and rural filariasis. Rural filariasis was caused by Brugia malai. During the 1930s and 1940s, this disease was spread in villages in close proximity to reservoirs and wetlands in provinces such as the northwestern, southern and Sabaragamuwa. However, due to successful campaigns carried out subsequently, health sectors were able to almost completely eradicate the Brugia malai parasite from this country by the 1960s.
5 months of this year are over. During these 5 months so far, we have not identified the parasite called Wuchereria bancrofti. Among the patients we identified, we have only identified Brugia malai. This can also come through animals. Since this germ can exist inside the bodies of animals, controlling it is somewhat difficult. Therefore, if we do not properly control this medical condition, there is a future risk of this disease spreading in Sri Lanka. We are a bit more concerned about this emerging Brugia malai situation because it is difficult for us to control. This is because the Wuchereria bancrofti parasite we discussed earlier is only seen inside human bodies. Therefore, we can control the disease by treating the relevant people in the identified environment. In this case, treating the relevant population, meaning just humans, is not enough. There are instances where this germ is also present in the bodies of animals living around that area. Consequently, it becomes necessary to treat animals as well.
What should be done to control the disease?
If all of us in Sri Lanka work with a shared commitment, we can completely eliminate all these diseases in a very short period of time. If we all join hands and try to eliminate the mosquito breeding grounds in our environment, if we try to prevent various containers and vessels capable of breeding mosquitoes from accumulating in the environment, if we clear and keep canals in our environment clean, and if we clear and keep the drainage systems clean, then we can eliminate this disease very quickly. What I request from the community is, please do not stop to think about what kind of mosquito it is. Is it dengue, filariasis, or the one that causes malaria? We will look into that. You just keep the environment clean so that mosquitoes cannot breed in this environment.
Health authorities point out that there has also been a significant increase in the spread of dengue. The National Dengue Control Unit of the Ministry of Health states that the rapid spread of dengue has been driven by Cyclone Ditwa. According to its acting director, Dr. Kapila Kannangara, 20 deaths and 35,300 dengue patients have been reported within the past 5 months alone. In light of the rapid spread of dengue disease, a special dengue control program will be implemented on the 8th, 9th and 10th of June. Accordingly, field inspections will also be conducted with the assistance of the police.
Weather first.
And in another headline-making story tonight, we look at the weather situation in Sri Lanka, where the Met Department says that the prevalent rainy weather conditions will continue, accompanied by strong winds.
Yes, Krisha, now it is now time to take a look at the weather update for today. Theruni Karunaratne has all the details.
Thank you very much, Viara and Krishan. Well, the Met Department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragamo provinces, as well as the northwestern province and the Gaul, Matara, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. Heavy falls of about 100 millimeters are also likely at some places in the western and Sabaragamo provinces and in the Gaul, Matara, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. A few showers may also occur in the Anuradhapura district, according to the Met Department. Now, strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills, in the northern and north-central provinces, and also in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. Fairly strong winds of about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over other parts of the island as well. Well, the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
And in sports news, well, Viara, over the past 72 hours, Sri Lanka has been celebrating the glory brought home by javelin thrower Rumesh Tharanga. A national sports festival aimed at discovering more promising athletes like him also got underway today.
Yes, Krishan. So Theruni is ready with details on the National Sports Festival, which began today, along with more updates in today's Sports Roundup.
Thank you very much once again, Krishan and Viara. Well, the National Sports Festival is one of the premier platforms for identifying exceptionally talented athletes in national-level track and field sports. Now, athletes discovered through this event often go on to represent Sri Lanka on the international stage as well. The 50th National Sports Festival commenced today in Nuwara Eliya.
The cross-country events of the 50th Golden Jubilee National Sports Festival were held centering the Nuwara Eliya town. More than 120 athletes representing all provinces across the country took part in the event. The opening ceremony was attended by Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Sunil Kumaragamage, along with several other dignitaries. In the men's category, Wignaraj Rakshan of the Central Province clinched the gold medal in the cross-country event at the National Sports Festival. The silver medal in the men's category was won by Kujendra Prasan, also representing the Central Province.
இந்த cross country போட்டிக்காக நுவர்லில தான் இந்த டைம் ட்ரெய்னிங் பண்ணோம். ஆனா நினைச்ச அளவுக்கு ஓட முடியல. மழை பனி காத்துனால சரியான ஒரு டைமிங் ஓட முடியாட்டியும் இவென்ட்ல பெஸ்ட் அடிக்க முடிஞ்சி. அதை பத்தி சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு எனக்கு.
In the women's category, Sirasa Surya of the Eastern Province won the gold medal, while the silver medal went to Samudika Herath of the Central Province.
මට පුහුණුවෙන් වලදී හැම ලොකු සපෝට් එකක් දෙනවා මගේ කෝච් සහ මගේ ගෙදර අය. ඉතින් මට ගොඩක් සතුටුයි මගේ කෝච්ටත් මගේ පුහුණුවෙන් බලන ඒ සෙසුස් කෝචස්ලටත් මම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුද්ධ හමුදාව ඒකට ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. ගොඩක් සතුටුයි මම අද පළවෙනි ලබා ගත්ත ගැන.
The event is jointly organised by the Ministry of Sports and the Department of Sports Development. The remaining events are being held in Colombo. A total of 32 events including marathons, weightlifting, swimming and others are being conducted in this year's sports festival. The finals of the National Sports Festival are scheduled to be held on the 4th, 5th and 6th of December at the Diagama Stadium.
While the National Sports Festival continues to showcase the country's top athletes, another major sporting event aimed at discovering young talent also commenced today. The 36th National Youth Sports Fest officially commenced with beach volleyball competitions taking place on the opening day. We now bring to you more on the action and highlights from the tournament.
The competitions are being held at Negombo Beach. The tournament is being jointly organised by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, the National Youth Services Council and the Sri Lanka Federation of Youth Clubs. More than 100 athletes from all districts across the island are participating in the event. The tournament features competitions in both men's and women's categories. The finals are scheduled to take place tomorrow night.
In more local news, Sri Lanka's official foreign reserves have increased by 1.6%. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka said that foreign reserves, which stood at $6,766 million at the end of April, has now risen to $6,873 million.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka says that despite ongoing tensions in the Middle East and global uncertainties, the country's financial system remained strong and stable during the first quarter of this year. CBSL also noted that despite challenging international conditions, total credit extended by commercial banks and financial institutions continued to grow rapidly during the same period. According to the latest central bank data, total credit provided by the banking sector at the end of the first quarter of this year increased by 24.4% compared to the same period last year. In addition, the provisioning coverage ratio for non-performing loans has increased from 54.1% to 59.5%. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning Dr. Anil Chayantha says that although the value of the rupee fluctuates from time to time, it is expected to stabilize in the short term.
අද වෙනකොට නැවතත් ආය 330ට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ වෙළඳපොළ බලවේග ක්‍රියාත්මක වීම හරහා මේ නැවතත් සාමාන්‍ය තත්ත්වයටපත් වෙනවා. ඒකට වෙන්නේ හේතුව තමයි කිසිදු ආකාරයකට ආර්ථික අර්බුදයක් හෝ වෙනත් ගැටලුවක් නැති නිසා මෙවැනි උච්චාවචනයන් වෙළඳපොළ බලවේග මත වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කෙටි කාලයක් ඇතුළතදී සමතුලිතභාවයට එනවා.
A program to expedite surgeries for patients on waiting list for kidney stone removal will begin on the 12th of June. The initiative will be carried out using the newly introduced operating theatre system at the Mirigama Base Hospital.
Currently, nearly 5,000 patients are on the waiting list for kidney stone removal surgeries. Under the program, patients registered for kidney stone removal procedures at hospitals across the island will be brought to the Mirigama Base Hospital for surgery. The procedures will be carried out by urologists from the respective hospitals who will accompany the patients. Medical Superintendent of the Mirigama Base Hospital, Dr. Chaminda Premaratna said that free transport facilities will be provided for patients. He added that the Ministry of Health has planned to clear the existing waiting list for kidney stone removal surgeries through this program.
The owner of the cab involved in the fatal accident that claimed the lives of 6 individuals in a Dansal queue in Megoda, along with another individual, have been remanded until the 16th of June.
The suspects were arrested after surrendering to the police through a lawyer this morning. They were remanded after being produced before the Homagama acting magistrate today. Investigations are underway to apprehend the remaining suspect involved in the incident. Last Sunday night, 6 people were killed and 7 others injured when a cab plowed into a crowd waiting in a Dansal queue near the Migoda junction. Following the accident, police officers pursued the fleeing cab but were only able to apprehend its driver at the time. It was subsequently revealed that the driver was under the influence of alcohol. 2 other individuals were travelling in the cab at the time of the crash and had fled the scene. Only one of those individuals surrendered to the police today.
Meanwhile, in another tragic incident, 3 youth have died after drowning in the seas off Dalua in Norochole. Police said the 3 youth had drowned this evening while having a sea bath. The victims, who are residents of Puttalam, are 2 teenage girls aged 18 and 19 years and a 25-year-old male.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
2 countries, 2 degrees within 4 years. Call ACBT. 2 countries, 2 degrees in engineering within 4 years. Be a professional in robotics, mechatronics, and electrical engineering. The next generation of careers that go beyond borders. Limited number of seats for the June intake. Call ACBT on 0117-699-499 or visit www.acbt.net.
Welcome back. The bill to establish the Chartered Institute of Media Professionals of Sri Lanka has been published in the Government Gazette. This publication was made by order of the Ministry of Health and Mass Media.
Marking a major professional transformation in Sri Lanka's media industry, the bill to establish the Chartered Institute of Media Professionals of Sri Lanka has been gazetted. The initiative aims to grant local media professionals a level of professional status and legal recognition on par with medical and legal practitioners. Through this bill, the official title and certification of Chartered Journalist is being introduced in the country for the very first time. Significantly, the bill also provides a comprehensive definition for who constitutes a media professional, an identity that had not been explicitly defined within the country's existing legal system until now. Furthermore, provisions have been made to classify members under various professional grades upon admission to the institute. This professional recognition, which was previously limited only to traditional mainstream media, will henceforth be extended to digital media, web media and freelance media professionals, provided that they meet the required standards. The institute will enforce a new national code of media ethics and standards for all registered members. The bill also contains provisions to appoint an independent disciplinary committee to investigate public complaints regarding any breaches of this code of ethics or unprofessional conduct.
Public consultations for the proposed higher education reforms in Sri Lanka has commenced. The Ministry of Education stated that a questionnaire related to the proposal has been published on the ministry's official website. The public can submit their responses online through this questionnaire. Previously, views and suggestions were also collected from a wide range of stakeholders in the process of formulating the new higher education policy. Now, moving on in more local news, opposition groups are engaged in a competition to attract local representatives. Now, at the same time, discussions are underway on whether the next leadership will be about selecting the next national leader or choosing the leader of the opposition. Sri Lanka Pudujana Perumuna Anuradhapura district leader Tissa Kuttiarachchi says that the next national leader will be produced from within his party.
Whether it is Sajith Premadasa or any other person, none of them have the intelligence or ability to govern this country. I'm not saying this myself. As I remember, Navin Dissanayake once said that if you combine Ranil Wickremesinghe's brain and Sajith Premadasa's body, then you would get someone capable of running the country. So who has the brain and who has the body? People from those parties are the ones who have been talking about it. So don't drag me into that. I'm not going to talk about the body. There is no need to question Ranil Wickremesinghe's brain. Ranil Wickremesinghe is a good leader, so I'm not going to comment on the brain or the body of the other person. You should ask Navin Dissanayake about that.
Meanwhile, SJB General Secretary Ranjit Bandara responded today to remarks made about opposition leader Sajid Premadasa.
We do not pay much attention to such remarks. Comments like that only reflect the mentality of those who make them. When people engage in petty talk, it shows how small-minded they are.
Meanwhile, Suranga Manik Vijayatunga, the former co-organizer of the Balangod electorate who recently left the Samagi Jana Balavega and joined the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, received his appointment as the SLPP organizer for Balangoda from Nama Rajapaksa yesterday. He also claimed that the SJB leadership was weak in making decisions. However, SJB General Secretary Ranjit Bandara today stated that his party did not have such an organizer in Balangoda.
We did not have such an organizer in Balangoda. For the local government elections, we appointed separate individuals to handle the Balangoda Urban Council, the Balangoda Pradeshya Sabha and the Imbulpe Pradeshya Sabha. The person who left was not even able to prepare the nomination papers. Another MP and I had to prepare the nominations and personally submit them.
UNP General Secretary Thalata Atakorala was questioned about the political alliance between the leadership of the United National Party and the Samagi Jana Balavega. She was questioned during a meeting of the joint opposition that was held in Kandy today.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna states that United National Party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe is now consistently offering political guidance to SLPP national organizer Namal Rajapaksa. These remarks were made following a religious observance held this morning at the Kalaniya Rajamahaviharaya to invoke blessings on former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Everyone is questioning whether the leader of the opposition is functioning effectively in his role. It is evident that the Samagi Jana Balavega is failing to fulfill its responsibilities as the opposition. There is a lingering question as to whether Sajid Premadasa is capable of salvaging his position in that regard.
Meanwhile, SLPP media spokesperson Sanjeeva Edirimana stated that former President Ranil Wickremesinghe must now show gratitude for the support extended to him by the SLPP. He emphasized that Wickremesinghe should assist their party in return.
We supported him to govern this country for 2.5 years. Therefore, I believe he has a duty to show gratitude for that opportunity by supporting the political force gathering around Nama Rajapaksa. In fact, if not for us, Ranil Wickremesinghe would never have become the leader of this country in his lifetime.
Furthermore, the SLPP Badulla district leader Thenuka Vidanagamage confirmed that UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe frequently provides counsel to Namal Rajapaksa.
We are holding discussions with former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Namal Rajapaksa also meets and discusses matters with him. He offers advice on parliamentary affairs as well as political activities. His guidance is definitely being extended to strengthen Namal Rajapaksa.
Meanwhile, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, the leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, expressed the following views yesterday regarding the brain-body combination between Ranil and Sajid.
The The ruling party says opposition groups cannot create a viable alternative government simply by bringing together fragmented political fractions.
The opposition is attempting to form a government by uniting various political groups. At times, they speak of working together as a common opposition, while at other times they act as separate parties. Yesterday, I heard claims that if certain politicians' head and a certain politician's body were combined, they could form a government. However, it is worth noting that the United National Party, once the country's largest political party, divided itself and the head went one way while the body went in the opposite direction. Therefore, these discussions about political alliances are neither new nor particularly significant. Such efforts have gradually lost their relevance. Likewise, several other parties are being rejected by the general public. They need to understand the reasons behind that. Today, there is a government that remains closely connected to the people and continues to work in the best interest of the people. As such, distancing this government from the public trust will not be as easy as the opposition thinks.
A tree planting and community cleanup program was held today, bringing the community together for environmental action.
A tree planting and community cleanup program titled Together We Can Keep Colombo Clean was held today. The initiative was organized in line with the 60th anniversary of the Association of Sri Lankan Graduates from Socialist Countries. Russian Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Levan S. Zagarian, participated in the event, which included the planting of 60 trees to mark the milestone anniversary.
It's a big honor to be here in the Good Market premises to participate in the ceremony of cleaning this territory and planting 60 trees, which indicates the 60th anniversary of the creation of the Association of Graduates of Universities of the former Soviet Union and post-Soviet republics. Let's make Sri Lanka clean together.
A large number of participants joined the initiative, highlighting growing community support for environmental conservation.
50 wheelchairs worth over 2 million rupees were donated to persons with disabilities in Polonnaruwa yesterday with the participation of the Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka.
Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Ki Zeng Hong, participated in a ceremony to donate 50 wheelchairs valued at more than 2 million rupees to 50 persons with disabilities in Polonnaruwa. The donation was made at the request of Speaker of Parliament Jagat Vikramaratne and was handed over during a ceremony held at the Polonnaruwa District Secretariat.
China remains committed to promoting friendship and people-to-people ties with Sri Lanka. Whenever our Sri Lanka friends are in need, we will continue to do our best to offer support and necessary assistance. May the friendship in China and Sri Lanka continue to flourish for generations to come.
Speaker Jagat Vikramaratne, Polonnaruwa District MP Padmasiri Bandara, the Polonnaruwa District Secretary and several government officials attended the event.
The Regional Centre for Strategic Studies convened a multi-stakeholder forum in Colombo yesterday to discuss climate resilience and social equity.
The multi-stakeholder forum, titled Empowering Estate and Rural Communities for Climate and Disaster Resilience and Social Equity, was held yesterday in Colombo. The event, convened by the Regional Centre for Strategic Studies, was held under the framework of the EU-funded CLIMPS project, centering on the intersection of climate change, peace and security. Participants included state policymakers, representatives from the Disaster Risk Management Centre at the University of Moratuwa, and delegates from rural and estate communities, including the Malayagam Tamil population. The dialogue addressed the challenges of implementing national climate policies at the local level. The discussions focused specifically on identifying gaps in disaster preparedness and water security within disenfranchised communities. The project is part of a broader 30-month international effort managed by GPPAC across South Asia, Central Asia and Central America.
Animal welfare activists and members of the public staged a peaceful protest yesterday opposing proposed state-run animal shelters and incinerators while calling attention to the rising number of elephant deaths.
Animal welfare organizations and activists, along with concerned members of the general public, took to the streets yesterday in a peaceful protest, voicing their opposition to proposed state-run animal welfare shelters and incinerators. They expressed concern and distrust over the proposed facilities, while also drawing attention to the rising number of elephant deaths reported this year. Protesters claimed that more than 150 elephants have died so far in 2026, averaging nearly one elephant death every day.
For over 2 years, not a single rabies vaccination has been administered. Neither have the sterilizations been conducted, despite the fact that there is a budget, there is an annual budget allocated for this. Neither is anything being done about the massacre of the elephants. At the rate the elephants are dying, in 5 years' time or less, there will not be an elephant left in Sri Lanka.
We believe all these funds should go towards sterilizations, and it is high time this government started on the sterilization programs all over the country.
Protesters urged authorities to adopt humane and sustainable animal welfare policies while taking urgent action to address threats facing the country's elephant population.
Chairman of the CBL Group, Ramya Sanath Amaravera Vikramasinghe, has passed away. In a statement, the company said Vikramasinghe dedicated his life to building not only a successful company, but also a community rooted in care, integrity and innovation. The company also noted that his vision helped Sri Lanka placed on the global map, while his kindness and humanity touched the lives of many who knew and worked with him. CBL Group said his passing leaves a profound void, but his values and legacy will continue to guide the organization in the years ahead.
World News.
Yeah.
And in foreign news, the Israel Defense Forces or IDF says it has launched an investigation after confirming it attacked a vehicle carrying Lebanese soldiers in southern Lebanon earlier this morning. The Lebanese army said 2 officers and a soldier were killed in the strike on a car, which it described as an aggressive and barbaric raid.
Now, the IDF said the vehicle was moving suspiciously towards forces and gunfire had been reported in the area. Now, to bring us details on the very latest developments from the Middle East, we are now being joined by Stevin Machado. Stevin?
Yes, thank you, Viara and Krishan. Now, the war situation in the Middle East continues to rage on. Today, the Israeli military tanks and quadcopter drones opened fire in the vicinity of El Dora Pediatric Hospital east of the Tufa neighborhood in the eastern Gaza city. Now, the hospital lies within an area designated by the Israeli military as a yellow zone. According to local sources, the designation typically indicates areas where military operations may occur or where movement has been restricted. Let's take a look at more developments reported throughout the day.
The United States military said it carried out strikes on Iranian radar sites, calling it a defensive action, the latest in a series of tit-for-tat clashes between Iranian and US forces in the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM said that Iran fired 7 ballistic missiles towards Kuwait and Bahrain just hours after the US military shot down Iranian attack drones that were launched towards the Strait of Hormuz and also struck Iranian radar sites. CENTCOM said, quote, "Initial assessments indicate 6 of the missiles launched by Iran were intercepted and a 7th did not reach its intended target." Unquote. Iran's IRGC said the attacks were in response to US army aggression against the Iranian city of Sirik and Qasem Island in the Strait of Hormuz. Siren alarms sounded 5 times, coinciding with the sounds of missile and drone interceptions over Kuwait. Bahraini residents were also urged to seek shelter as alarm sirens sounded. Meanwhile, Bahrain has condemned Iran's launch of 7 ballistic missiles towards its territory and that of Kuwait early today, calling it a flagrant violation of sovereignty and a threat to Gulf security. In a foreign ministry statement, Bahrain said the missiles were successfully intercepted and praised the vigilance of its armed forces and those of Kuwait. It accused Iran of breaching UN Security Council Resolution 2817 of 2026, which condemned Iranian attacks and any efforts to close the Strait of Hormuz or disrupt international navigation. Bahrain also called on Iran to immediately cease what it described as unjustified attacks, fully open the Strait of Hormuz without restrictions, disclose naval mine locations, and allow more than 20,000 stranded sailors to leave the region safely. Jordan has condemned Iranian attacks on Bahrain and Kuwait, describing them as a flagrant violation of their sovereignty, a threat to regional security, and a dangerous escalation undermining efforts to restore stability. The Jordanian Foreign Ministry said in a statement that the attacks constituted a blatant breach of international law and the United Nations Charter. Jordan affirmed its absolute solidarity with both Gulf nations and its support for any steps they take to protect their sovereignty, security, and the safety of their citizens and residents. Meanwhile, Israel is continuing to bomb southern Lebanon, including around the historic Beaufort Castle. For more than 1 million displaced people in Lebanon, a renewed ceasefire announced in US-mediated talks between Israel and Lebanon seems hard to believe. The Israeli military has issued a new round of forced displacement orders for the residents of Armati, Mashgara, Kafr Huna, Sajad, and Ansariya in southern Lebanon. In a post on X, the Israeli army's Arabic spokesperson instructed residents of the villages and towns to leave immediately and move north of the Zaharani River. The Lebanese army says that several of its soldiers, including an officer, have been killed in an Israeli strike that hit their military vehicle on the Kardali Nabatea road in southern Lebanon. The Lebanese army has historically avoided involvement in confrontations with Hezbollah and Israel and has not engaged Israel in the current conflict.
NASA ordered 5 astronauts to abruptly take shelter inside a docked SpaceX capsule after an air leak inside a Russian module suddenly doubled in severity. Now, the emergency protocol was triggered when Russian cosmonauts attempted a disputed repair method to patch a crack. The safe haven order was lifted after 2 hours once the repair work was paused. Let's take a look.
A serious safety emergency unfolded in low Earth orbit yesterday, pushing the International Space Station to the brink of evacuation. According to NASA spokesperson Bethany Stevens, NASA Mission Control issued a rare safe haven order at 9:04 a.m. Eastern Time, instructing 5 of the 7 astronauts on board to immediately don their spacesuits and take shelter inside a docked SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule. The emergency protocol was triggered by a persistent air leak inside the Russian-operated Zvezda module transfers tunnel. The leak suddenly doubled in severity earlier this week, escalating from losing 1 pound of air per day to 2 pounds. The situation reached a boiling point when Russian cosmonauts were planning to use a saw to reach an area where they believed they could access the crack which was leaking air. Fearing the high-risk method could cause a catastrophic structural failure, NASA officials strongly objected and ordered the immediate shelter in place. The tense standoff lasted for roughly 2 hours until Russia's space agency agreed to pause the aggressive repair work to assess new data.
In more news from overseas, the founder of India's viral Cockroach Janata Party led a street protest in New Delhi today, demanding the resignation of the Federal Education Minister, taking the online youth movement from social media to the streets for the first time in a show of dissent against Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government.
Boston University graduate 30-year-old Abhijit Dipke, who has lived in the United States for the past 2 years and has not previously travelled to India since forming the movement, carried a copy of India's constitution as he left New Delhi's International Airport for the protest site. He was greeted by hundreds of supporters chanting his name. The Cockroach Janata Party, or CJP, a satirical People's Party, was born barely 3 weeks ago after India's Chief Justice reportedly likened government critics and unemployed youth to cockroaches and parasites. What began as a parody account and meme factory has since exploded into a channel for anger over exams, jobs, and a fraying sense of economic promise. Hundreds of thousands of students have joined the movement in just a few days. The group, which has amassed over 22 million Instagram followers since launching in mid-May, is the largest online expression of dissent against Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 12-year rule, fueled by persistently high youth unemployment. CJP has already outgrown many mainstream parties online. Today, that digital discontent stepped off the screen. Waving India's national flag and clutching school books, the protesters demanded the resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan over recurring leaks of examination papers and errors in marking that have threatened to derail the careers of millions of students. Hundreds of protesters gathered near Jantar Mantar in central New Delhi, India's most famous protest strip, as police barricaded some of the surrounding roads. Its first street protest now tests whether self-depreciating memes and satire can be converted into a lasting organization and whether India's anxious, hyper-connected youth can find a new political language for their frustration.
And that's a wrap of your Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Take care, good night, and God bless you.